right, guys. What is conservative comedy? I've already made the joke that it's a miserable pile of secrets, but that would also make it a man, so I guess we'll just get into the fan art section, and then we'll talk about this in just a moment after my bad and embarrassing joke is out of the way. First, this is fan art from Living Thrashcan. I hope this isn't too explicit for YouTube. Anyways, I hope you like this drawing. I do, and I don't think it's too explicit for YouTube, and if it is, I guess I'll find out later. But Booba, big Booba, Hamana Booba, gigantic Booba. There is many Booba and thick thigh. Breasts. Thank you very much, Living Thrashcan, for the fan art. I appreciate it. If y'all want your fan art shown in a future video, drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. That said, we need to talk about really, really bad Family Guy ripoffs. You're gonna watch a trailer with me. And spoiler alert, I've already watched the first episode of this show, so we're gonna have to talk about the show, not just the trailer. But let's go.
Yes, headshot. Dad, Mike.
Can we start off by saying that the animation quality for this first part?
Yes, headshot.
Man, I love lip sync. Man, I love lip sync so much. Anyway.
Dad, my teammates can see your junk.
You're welcome, ladies. First day of school means the bet is on. First one of us to get inside.
You suck, Mr. Butt Chump.
Dill got it. Rule number 1, no phones in the wood shop. Fish it out after class.
I found some really great school uniform options to avoid misgendering.
Ooh, what about their allergies? Maybe those theys could be lactose intolerant.
No, we can't say intolerance. We have a zero-tolerance policy for mentioning intolerance.
When I was a kid, men were men. Now everyone's wrapped up in feelings.
Real men stuff feelings down with red meat, cigarettes, and violence.
Man, one good voice actor, at least the voice. But it's funny to hear his voice out of a Family Guy ripoff. It's Kronk. Yep, it is. It's Kronk. It's funny to hear his voice out of a character in effectively a bad Family Guy ripoff from Daily Wire.
My name is Mr. Wolf. I solve problems.
You know what it takes? Balls. Eyeballs.
He's gonna say that we're too young.
Well, actually, I was going to say you're too fat.
Oh my god, Brett Cooper is in this? Oh, she's my favorite. I wish she didn't make media. Oy, oy, oy. Said must really need the money? Could be. Could be.
My wife's name out of your damn mouth. You and the geriatric Girl Scouts will be passed out in an hour.
Pass Mommy the wine. The bottle.
Don't make this a prison hug.
Richard Bircham.
Bircham?
Bircham.
Mr. Bircham. Hey, Bircham.
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 Bircham!
Watch Mr. Bircham, an all-new animated series from Daily Wire Plus.
Let the record show I'm a dick.
Okay, so that's probably the perfect way to end this particular little advertisement. Let's talk about this show, because I watched the first episode of it. And what I got out of that was not something that, oh, it offended me so much. No, what I got was bored. We've basically seen the entire series. So the premise of it is it's a Family Guy style sitcom in the vein of King of the Hill, which has a, traditionally conservative protagonist. But unlike King of the Hill, where we find that the main character has lots of lessons to learn, and at the end of the episode, he gets better, one episode at a time. What I saw when I watched the episode of Bertram is this is like the worst version of Rick and Morty possible, where Rick is always correct, never incorrect in anything he ever says or does, never gets shown up for any of his shit, except for one moment in the show. But he is shown to basically be a holy saint by being an asshole. and never really gets humbled. And the only time he gets humbled, well, you know how in the beginning it showed that his son is a streamer. So his son has 50,000 followers on Twitch and makes money streaming video games. A bunch of jokes in the show are at his son's expense and how he's not working a real job and he's not really doing anything. And his mom has to explain to him, hey, he is making money doing that. He's doing entertainment. And the only time that the dad ever even considers that the son might be onto something is because there's an early joke in the episode where he talks about how his son will never get laid because he's not playing a real sport. And then, like, this really generically hot woman is in their house in the last couple minutes of the episode because she wanted to go be with the really successful streamer son. That's the joke. The dad is a little more humbled, very, very slightly, because his son is getting pussy that he deems attractive himself. That's it. Now, there's a daughter character in the show as well, whose name I don't fucking know. But she is basically the daddy's girl of the show. And one of the things that she does in it that it leads to one of the weirdest joke payoffs. So the mom is shown to be a real estate agent, and she brings her daughter with her to work one day. Now, normally the daughter does stuff with the dad, not in that way, you fucking weirdos. The daughter does stuff with the dad in his workshop, and so she gets a lot of skills from him. And so she has a lot of opinions on wood. Anubian, thank you for the hydrate. So the daughter goes with the mom, and the mom shows off this fireplace that has been covered in white paint because agreeable grays and whites are really good when selling a house. And the daughter has a conniption fit, saying that her mom has ruined the wood because it is an affront to mahogany to put white paint on it, because the fireplace is made out of mahogany. Now, I've watched enough Dragon Ball Z Abridged to agree with the daughter, but still, what she ends up doing is a $2 million home that her mother is trying to sell. She ends up taking a paint chipper and just, like, scraping off the paint. And she's halfway through scraping off the paint when her mom gets the first set of people that want to look at the house in, and the daughter ends up ruining it. The daughter ends up ruining it. Now, what I didn't tell you is that the mom found out that the daughter was ruining this a few minutes prior, and so she gets on the phone, and the joke is she calls to get people who can paint white. But she says white painters. And then she has to correct herself. No, I mean white painters. Like, not that they are white, but that they can at least paint something in white. Now, I don't fucking know if I've ever met anybody that can't paint something in white. So the prerequisite for the joke to be funny is already kind of lost. But then when she gets inside the house off the phone, she, like, opens the door and yells, "White Lives Matter." And then shortly after that, the couple comes in to look at the house, and the couple is black. That's the joke. That's the joke. The couple is black and the mom said white lives matter. Now, that could be somewhat funny if the couple made mention that the mom said the joke. They do not mention it at all. They did not hear it at all. These two scenes happened completely separately from one another, apparently, in the comedy verse of this show. Speaking of scenes happening basically disparately from one another, the show has cutaway gags, like Family Guy. This is budget Family Guy, but made for conservative people, and it's also not funny. But the show has cutaway gags. But the lead into the cutaway gag doesn't make any sense. So at the beginning of the show, you saw in the trailer that that Bertram is about to go into his first day of this semester, and he has the whole like, hey, we're gonna have our which one of us gets insulted contest. Now in the trailer, it's actually kind of funny. He gets insulted really quickly after that. But in the actual fucking show, he says his bit about the insulting contest, and then there is a cutaway gag to something that is completely unrelated, and then a whole 45 seconds later, the kid does the insult to him, and he wins his $10. It doesn't make any fucking sense. They literally put a cutaway gag in the middle of a joke to tell a different joke that wasn't funny, making the one joke that could have been funny just completely fall flat. Gant says, do Family Guy cutaway gags make sense in the first place? In the early seasons, they actually make a decent bit of sense. The show culminates in effectively a court scene. So the main character, Bertram, gets all the kids from his class, and he gives them what are called donkeys. Every time somebody fucks up in the class, he gives them a donkey, and he publicly has it up there for everybody to see. So it's apparently good to publicly shame all of the kids. And the kids, whenever they are shamed enough, when they get 10 donkeys, they have to go to the donkey corral, where he's made very, very uncomfortable areas to sit in. They basically made a donkey pen for them to sit in. And they only get out of the donkey pen when they go over to his house and do something for him. Now, this already feels kind of weird, but it's shown to actually be a good thing, kind of. They basically have to do some extracurricular woodworking, because it's a woodworking class that he has, to figure out how to get out of the donkey pen. All the students go in the donkey pen at the same time. And one of them goes in because they said something about pronouns. It's really weird. There's a whole montage of how every single student gets their shit put on the donkey pen. In fact, actually, let me go ahead and see if I can find that for you. You know what? Fuck it. We're going to be pirates today. We're going to find the scene where this happens. Okay, that's not the button I wanted to press. Daily Wire's gonna get mad at me for this, but just consider it advertising, I guess. Let's take a look here. This is where the paint gets ruined. That's afterwards. This is where the kids are all building the thing. Where's the montage? This is where the daughter bitches about an affront to Mahogany. So it would have been before this montage. Let's see.
That button-mashing monkey is wasting his life. He doesn't have a job, doesn't build anything. By the time I was his age, I was on a job site, framing houses. I'd already been in the Navy, and you know how many women I'd chosen to politely ignore? He's gonna be sick.
So, like, that joke's actually a little funny there. So you paid for Daily Wire? No, the first episode's free.
70, sitting in that massage chair, staring up at that big screen like a mole man.
Oh, more dino nuggies, dude.
Just be glad he's not peeing into a bottle. Eddie's got his own channel, and he's actually getting paid by subscribers.
Are you saying there are people out there who pay to watch Eddie do absolutely nothing?
He has over 50,000 followers.
Followers? What is he, a cult leader?
Literally, the joke is just that he doesn't understand streaming. And I guess to a degree, I get the joke, because having to explain my job to anybody over the age of 60 is awkward. But yeah, I guess he's a cult leader. Is this? I don't remember.
Cult leaders actually get chicks.
These fake fruits.
Okay, so it would have been before this.
Donkey tail.
You can't use the word triggered if you've never actually fired a weapon, donkey.
So one of the ways that he punishes students is by using the word triggered in his class. If you say the word triggered in the class, that gets you a donkey. That doesn't make any fucking sense. And the only people who are going to find that funny at all are people who laugh at people and say triggered all the time. Ignoring, you know, people who actually get triggered, like the actual act of having an episode over something.
This is a big deal. If I sell this house, it'll mean I'm part of a...
This is Los Angeles, Mom. How hard is it to sell 2 houses in a month?
So, again, literally telling somebody that their job, if it is not sitting down and woodworking and building something, that it's not actually worthwhile. But let me see if we actually get to the... Here's the montage.
Goggles. Donkey.
The goggles make sense. You should be wearing safety equipment.
Screwdriver's not a chisel. Donkey.
Your screwdriver can be a chisel. Fuck off.
No speaking Spanish in my class. Burro.
That one doesn't make any fucking sense to me. Yeah, they're not allowed to speak their native language, like, to each other? That how is that one funny? Like, is the joke just he's an asshole? Is the joke that he's a bigot? Like, this would be a funny joke if there was some kind of comeuppance that happens for him later. But no, we're supposed to empathize with this guy. We're supposed to root with him. And then it just shows them doing that. Okay, so the montage was that little. The montage was that little. This is the dad not respecting the space of the son. And apparently we're supposed to care about that.
Monkey's parents, you'll never leave the corral again.
Also, so, you know what's funny? I'm just going to go ahead and say this is on Daily Wire Plus, right? A site owned by Ben Shapiro. And we're supposed to root for this guy right here, Mr. Bertram. And one of the reasons we're supposed to root for him is something that Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh get actively pissed about all the time, apparently. If you told one of them that a teacher was trying to have a student do something that they weren't allowed to tell the parent, they would freak out about that and they would make an entire 20-minute video about it, right? Okay, cool. We agree about that. They've said as much about parents who don't know about their child's gender identity, but the teachers did. So then we're going to watch this scene real quick.
I need to pass all my classes or my stepdad won't pay for my lip fillers.
Your generation needs to stop worrying about grades and start worrying about being able to take care of yourselves. If Mommy and Daddy didn't come home tonight, would you even be able to make yourself dinner?
Did something happen to Mommy and Stepdaddy?
White bread and Four Loko. Beef!
There is a way. You can still pass my class and get out of the corral.
So, again, he has got the donkey corral.
Show up at my house at 0 Light 30 this Saturday for a donkey workday. And you can learn some actual building skills. This is a top secret extra credit op. If I get a call from any of you donkeys' parents, you'll never leave the corral again.
Mr. Bertram.
You can come too.
Yes.
So, if that were a teacher talking about gender, there would be a 20-minute video from Shapiro and Walsh and Knowles bitching about how this information shouldn't be kept from the parents and how this is a breach of trust and the school systems are all going horribly. But, you know, when it's a conservative comedy and the main character isn't woke, then I guess it's fine. Come to my house and don't tell your parent. Yep. This is the adult we're supposed to actually be rooting for. And it's not like Family Guy where we find out that, okay, we root for Peter because he's lovable but a dumbass. He's basically a clone of Homer Simpson. He's an idiot who, in many ways, simply doesn't know any better. We root for Hank Hill because he means well and he learns. What reason do we have to root for this asshole? And yet apparently we're supposed to. Like, this is some of the most boring sitcom stuff, animated sitcom shit, that I've seen in a while. And, you know, that's coming from somebody who's seen recent seasons of Family Guy. Said Hank constantly gets humbled. Yeah, that's the point. Now, the advertising for this is something else I want to show you guys. It's really, really, fucking weird. Jeremy Boring here. For decades, no network would take Adam Carolla's animated sitcom, Mr. Bircham, for fear of offending the wrong people. The only thing offensive is the show wasn't very funny. Fortunately, we love... Wow, I lisped that. Fortunately, we love offending the wrong people. So on May 12th, Daily Wire Plus is bringing him back. Tune in for the premiere, Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern. Episode 1 is free, comma, ... Why is there an ellipses after the comma? Why is there an ellipses after the comma? What? Oh, I see. It's because of the Twitter show more thing. Okay, you know what, Jeremy Boring? This one was actually on me. This one was on me. Everything else was on you. Sorry, I fucked that one up. And apparently also Adam Carolla just scrolling through his Twitter real quick. Let's see here. What do we have here? What do we have? Where's Kristi Noem when you need her? When somebody's dog out in public? I guess these people need to be shot and killed, apparently. I guess that's neat, I suppose. Maybe. But yeah, apparently the Mr. Bircham thing is a huge part of his entire identity now. Said, I have no idea who Adam Carolla is, and I don't think I want to. So, Adam Carolla is someone who, back in the 90s and early 2000s, people considered funny. They don't really seem to consider him as funny anymore. So, which is why I'm worried about a Koth reboot. Jesus. Altfac says I'm making Cirrus Donkey of the Day. What? But anyway, after having watched the video, after having watched the actual first episode all the way through, what's my conclusion about the show? It's just kind of boring. It's weird because conservatives will, especially over the Daily Wire, will bitch and bemoan the state of modern comedy, that you're not allowed to offend people. But then when you actually see them make a comedy, the only thing they're concerned about is offending people. They don't actually worry about making funny jokes or worrying if something's gonna land. They don't do the first rule of comedy, which is reading the room. They instead just want to make a show that offends people. And the thing is, something tends to be offensive, not when somebody's trying to offend, but when somebody is simply doing something that can offend. When something is shown to be truly malicious. This seems less malicious and more misinformed. And not in the, like, oh, we're giving it the benefit of the doubt way. Like, no, they're very late on what people would even find offensive to begin with. People stopped getting offended about the misuse of the word triggering a while ago. Now we just kind of look at it and think it's kind of sad. That's how things are with everything in this show. This is stuff people got mad about maybe 5 or 6 years ago and now just kind of find sad. All of it. Cyberchill says it's like they're trying to be a late-stage Comedy Central show from the 2010s, like Brickleberry. Yeah, like, that's the thing. Comedy isn't funny when you're trying to offend. Comedy is funny when you are being relatable. Comedy is funny when people can't see the punchline coming. Every single joke in this show, the punchline was coming from a mile away. You saw exactly what was going to happen every single time, and it didn't actually land. And you could tell exactly which group was being targeted every time. The dude who was telling them, like, all the things that you're not allowed to do, the guy in the glasses who looks an awful lot like Jimmy Snow, actually, that guy is a Jedi who's supposed to be like a justice and equity and diversity, and then the I stands for something, and I can't remember. Inclusiveness. That's the one. Inclusion. And he has this whole joke where he gets out in a brown robe and starts talking about how the main character, Mr. Bertram, is going to go on a suspension because of all the terrible things he's doing. And then he starts trying to silence all of the people who are speaking actually positively about Mr. Bertram, because everybody who speaks positively about him is actually one of his students. Now, the funny thing is, I can kind of get it. I kind of get the joke. The guy who's doing the white savior complex, who's speaking for people of various minority groups instead of letting them speak for themselves and just trying to amplify those voices. I wholly get the joke. I get it. And in some ways, it's actually kind of funny. But it's weird, where the only real source of comedy coming from that show, I feel like, is completely unintentional. I don't think that that was intended to be funny for the reasons I found it funny. But, I don't know. The main thing I found that is the show just was boring. I don't need my comedy to be edgy. Not that it can't be edgy. I say edgy shit all the time. I think edginess is boring when you're trying to be edgy. Edgy is better when it is natural, when you are doing it because you think it's funny, not because you think it's actually offending people. If you're just trying to offend people, you're no better than a shock jock. And that kind of humor dies about as quickly as your audience rotates. Sarah Chikorita has it right. It's a pizza wheel. All edge, no point. Anubian says, do you remember Drawn Together? I do. This feels like bad Drawn Together. And Drawn Together wasn't good. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Did you watch this terrible show? Was I even mildly more entertaining than it? Or am I, as I think, probably incredibly boring to listen to, talking about a show that I was also incredibly bored by? Let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you haven't already. Hey, I just quickly want to give a thank you to all of my wonderful patrons who keep this show running. YouTube and Twitch are a pretty bumpy ride at the best of times, and the stability a Patreon provides me is worth more than I can say here. I'd also like to thank each and every one of my $20 and up patrons here, and they would be Red Joker, Britzkrieg, Cameron, Dren, Jemshin, Smiling DM, Poundini, Mabbity Babbity, Naomi, Isaac, Nixie-chan, the Oberon team, Agamotto, Jordan, Ravi, Giuni, Kiratorian, Prisma, all of you, I'm not saying that part, and Starlight. And finally, thank you to everyone else that helps keep this channel alive. While you're here, why not check out another video? And thank you for watching.